everyone, what's the crack? Lawrence here with probably one of the most niche wheels I've ever had in the studio. This is the Ford Mustang GT3 from VPG. Let's do this. Okay, so first things first, this is a review unit that's being passed around between various reviewers, so I don't know if this is exactly how it would arrive with somebody, but this box looks to be in great condition. We've got on the box a little official licensed product from Ford. I never actually thought I'd have a Ford GT3 steering wheel in my, what's effectively, I call it my studio. This is effectively my kids' playroom and sim racing room, right? So this is a little bit of an honor, a little bit of a privilege, and thank you all for watching these type of videos, because yeah, that's why these kind of products get sent to me and why I get to experience them, and you guys get to hopefully share that experience vicariously. This is very airtight, very small tolerance there, so this takes a while to get up off the box. There we go. Okay, so we've got instant instructions. Okay, save clutch, master clutch. Okay, and we've got instructions of the buttons. Oh, it's two-sided instructions here. Funky switch instructions. Multi-switch rotary. Okay. So yeah, one of the big differences, to the best of my knowledge, between this and the real deal is those funky switches, those 7-way hats. Oh, look at this. Okay. So we can see a little bit of wear and tear around just from where other people have been taking it in and out, but nothing major. It still looks really good. Again, with this box has been opened and closed quite a few times. It's a little torn already. Let's try and not tear it any further. There we go. And in there we've got a USB cable. So the USB cable has the kind of relatively typical connection. This is, I think that's just a plastic connection. This is a little metal bit on it. Little ferrite core on there as well. Seems to be enough length in that for my needs anyway. Let's take this out of the box. Now I have already held this steering wheel at various events. I've actually seen it at multiple expos at this point. It's surprisingly light, so that's something that I didn't really notice when I was holding it in person. Now we don't have a quick release on here. We have this little flange that you get. So, and that has a little adapter spacer on it as well, so if you need the smaller bolt pattern you can use that. But this thing is mad light. I mean, that is pure carbon fiber. Look at the weave on the back here. Pure carbon fiber. It weighs very, very little. Those shifters are nice. There's a bit of a click off them. Nothing bad though, but they're definitely not the quietest shifters. I think that some of those smaller details don't matter as much to the people who want to buy this. Because, like, let's think about who's actually buying this. Someone who is most likely a Ford Mustang owner, or someone who supports Ford Mustang, like GT3 team, or a GT3 driver. They're very likely to have this, maybe, you know, bring it to an event, get a driver to actually sign it, give themselves amazing value. Even as a wall piece, this is already, it's quite a piece of art, quite a piece of sim racing history and real racing history. I know a lot of companies are doing that now, the crossover between sim racing and real racing. It's really cool to be able to own one from your favorite car. That is so light, guys. Mad light. We've got buttons on the back here as well, so that's kind of handy. So while you have only 2 paddles at the back, big, huge shifter paddles, and the clutch paddles are actually above. So that's something that might, you know, you might need to get used to. Like I know that I use this paddle a lot on other steering wheels. So if you are coming from a steering wheel where you use this paddle, you wouldn't accidentally, you know, when you're flashing your lights or whatever, you wouldn't want to accidentally dip the clutch, because that translates to lost track time. So that's just something to be aware of, but that's obviously the way it is in the real car as well. You can see the spring mechanism here, and there's a nice weight to that. There is a little magnet in there, obviously for the little hall sensor that measures that input, and I'll be putting that clutch mechanism to the test as well. Yeah, the main thing that strikes me is that it's very light, guys, and that weave is look at the detail on that weave. It's like one solid piece at the front. It is sandwiched here, so it's not a completely solid piece, but that is obviously for being able to open it up. And again, the big main difference is these 7-way hats, or these funky switches, they're not in the real life car. So obviously in sim racing, we need to be our own pit crew. We need to sort out our own stuff and know different things about the car, because we don't have somebody communicating those in our ear. So it's handy to have these. They feel decent. They're definitely, they're not the best that I've ever used. There's quite a lot of movement in them before there's any, like there's no registration of anything there. And then you can hear the click as you go further to the edge. Yeah, it's got the full 7-way hat, the full 7-way movement. No real immediate concerns there, and that little bit of movement, honestly, I don't care. That's not a big deal. One thing that hardcore sim racers might be missing here is thumb rotaries. That there are no thumb rotaries. There is space for them. I really like this kind of empty space here, but it still has the grip, so it can accommodate various grips. So some people grip the wheel like this, some like this, some go right in like that. So any grip that a driver might have, or whether you're wearing big gloves or what, are all accommodated here. So ergonomically, big hands, small hands. I've got small hands, fits my hands very, very well. And let's have a go at these buttons as well. Yeah, the buttons are good. There's a big, so around this one here is designated for pit. There is a big kind of a thing around that, a little bezel around that, so that you don't accidentally press that one. The other ones are obviously far less catastrophic. You don't want to hit the pit limiter when you're trying to communicate with the pit lane. Button flash. Just seeing how they laid this out. I lay these out slightly differently. So basically one of them is for when it kicks in, and the other one's for how much it kicks in. It's, to be fair, like considering a lot of other reviewers have had this is in excellent condition. So big props. I see slight mark on the back. Nothing major. This looks as good as new to me. So I'm quite happy about that. I have no concerns about quality or whatever. I know the way reviewers, I mean, me myself, I'm generally not super careful with stuff, moving it around a lot and doing different types of tests and stuff. So we're using it with gloves, without gloves. So it's nice to see that this seems to have some bit of longevity. I don't know how many reviewers have had this particular wheel before me. I also really like the little VPG detail here. There are no other visible VPG branding on here anywhere on the rest of it, just on the flange that you have here. And obviously this flange can be different for different types of cars. So I'm gonna have to be realistic with this. I am not a Mustang fanboy. I do have, and I did full competitive seasons in the Mustang GT3, so I'm hoping that this wheel just gels really well with the Mustang. But to be fair, any Formula car, any Formula steering wheel would. I want to see if the controls make sense while I'm driving that car, and I mean, I'm hoping that they should. I guess like the immediate thing that strikes me is, like, I like to adjust my ABS on the fly. I don't necessarily, I don't adjust my TC2 as much. I don't know. So it's just interesting that it's laid out like this. I'm not the judge of that. This is obviously the way the drivers want it. So I'm just testing how good a sim racing steering wheel this is. and whether it's worth it. They're kind of my main criteria. I think that the people that are going to buy this have probably already made up their minds and are probably watching this video just to see if there are any quality concerns, build quality. I don't have any concerns there. The grips are really nice. They're slightly those sticky type of grips, so there's a slight stickiness to them, but it's good. But you can also see there's not like loads of stuff stuck to the grips. So the grips actually are really good, very, very high quality. Build quality is impeccable. I mean, there's no question about the build quality. Is it worth, what is it, 1700 euro? That's up to the enthusiast to decide. This is an official piece of, I guess, memorabilia. It's an official piece of the whole story of GT3 Mustangs at the moment. So that has to have a price tag on it. As far as if this was an unbranded wheel, you would still be looking, because of the construction and everything, you would definitely still be looking at, an 1200 euro steering wheel, just because of the effort they've gone to and the detail and everything. And this is so hard to do. It's so difficult to make this curved carbon fiber like this, and it gets very, very expensive very, very quickly. So at 11 or 1200 euro, I would imagine this is a decent value. Add the licensing cost for GT3, for the Mustang, for Ford. I don't think it's terribly priced. It could have been priced a lot more, and I think that the enthusiasts who are going to buy it really have already made up their mind, as I say. In the box as well, we get some of these little spacers. I'm not actually sure what these are for. I'll have to figure that out. And we've got some button caps here. Very high quality button caps. Different types of button caps as well, so that you can change the layout. We don't have any stickers for where the traction control and stuff is. I quite like this one here, just the clear stickers, but then the colors on the other stickers are also very vibrant. You can see that this is just a colored version and a clear version of the same things, and here same again. So but it's nice that they include those because they are super high quality. Very nice. Let's get this on the rig. Let's give it a drive in the GT3 Mustang. So here we are in the rig, and I'm going to have to be completely honest with you guys. This is not the same day as the previous footage that you saw. This is a week later. I spent a week with this thing already because I want to give you a fair rundown of everything. And at first I was quite confused, being honest. There's a lack of functionality that I expect from sim racing wheels, and there's a complexity to the configuration which really kind of, I don't know, for me it's very off-putting. There's no software, so you have to do everything kind of almost mechanically, not mechanically, but you have to do everything on the wheel itself, which means you have to rely on on-screen inputs and stuff for adjusting your clutch bite points, and it's just not refined. And I know that that's what real race cars are like, but we expect a hell of a lot more in sim racing. So there are lots of things that don't really add up for me. I'm going to take it for a little drive and talk you through some of those things. So first things first, the lighting. So the lighting is decent, but it's very old school looking. I mean it looks like a real race car steering wheel. I guess it is a real race car steering wheel, and real race cars are not known to be beautiful when it comes to lighting. But each one of these buttons has 4 LEDs behind it, and although like when I put on my pit limiter, we can see there's some flashing, and we can see flashing here, we can see the individual LEDs. They are nicely diffused and stuff, but they're not, I don't know, they don't fill me with joy the same way a lot of other steering wheels do. I'll just put it that way. The overall feel of the steering wheel and the use of the steering wheel, I did several competitive races with this, and I really enjoyed it. It's ergonomically, it's a great wheel, especially for GT3, but even for a Formula wheel or LMP, it's good. The shape of these grips is nice. I think they maybe could be slightly nicer. There are nicer grips out there, but at the same time they are extremely nice, and I really love this kind of floaty part here where it's not connected into the middle. It gives it a kind of a less industrial look, but I don't really use it. If there was a bar there, I wouldn't be too concerned, but it does add to the look of it for me. I found myself extremely competitive, and I know that sounds silly, but hear me out. I do adjust things while I'm driving, and even though it's somewhat limited, I think you could get used to it. I really think ultimately this is a GT3 Mustang fanboy wheel. You really have to love GT3 Mustang. It does only say GT3 at the top, so it's not isolated to just being a Ford Mustang wheel, even though we know obviously that that's what it is. But it's relatively subtle, I guess. There's no, Ford logo or Mustang logo jumping out at you, and especially in the dark, the lighting is quite nice, quite legible. Even now, it's pretty bright in the room here. I can see those lights quite well. The button caps are high quality and stuff, so I've no real concerns there. It can go brighter as well. My main issues here are these center rotaries. They have individual positioning, so each one of these is a different setting, which we don't use a lot in sim racing, to be honest. We just don't. We generally just do left and right, and that's the way sim racers use these things. Real racers, they do tend to have, different programming maps and stuff. They do tend to have that all set. Now we have this one at the bottom, which is, although it's also functional, so each one of these registers an input, so you can assign them, but each one of these changes the behavior, or at least the difference between 0 and any of these other ones on the wheel changes the behavior of things like our 7-way hats and what they do. So right now we can see at the top left, this is cycling through my menus, but as soon as I switch into this, now it's actually adjusting my I think that's my brake bias. Let me see, maybe I don't have that one mapped. There we go. ABS is being adjusted here, and if I switch it back to this, now it's adjusting something else. Okay, I'm not actually sure what that's adjusting, but you get the gist there. I've mapped the controls. I haven't driven this car since I had done a first impressions video, and it just wasn't. It was a little bit confused, a little bit all over the place, and I wasn't happy with it. And especially because I don't plan on doing a long-term review on this, I felt that you deserve more. Some of you are about to spend, what is it, €1,700 on a steering wheel like this, and you want to know the truth, the facts, what it's like to work with. So, yeah, I just felt like it deserved a little bit more. I would prefer if these were just, if these ones on the, if they weren't rotary switches, I'd prefer if they were encoders. So the encoders, they just do one click each way. So any click to the right is one input, any click to the left is one input. We now have 12 inputs on each of these, which are largely useless in my opinion. For sim racing anyway, we don't use them like that. I don't use them like that. Maybe you can correct me, but yeah, it seems like a bit of wasted real estate, and there's a hugely complex process to switching, you know, and using your 7-way hats just to be able to, you know, adjust your traction controller, ABS on the fly like I'm doing now, which I don't really like, to be honest. There is a lighting profile that's provided with it. So this is SimHub powered. You have to add it as a device on SimHub. So that controls the lighting. And while the lighting in its own right for this wheel is not bad, it doesn't spark joy. It doesn't, like, you know, fill me with joy. So I've just turned down the lights a bit so that you can see. I've closed some curtains and stuff so there's less light coming in here. You can see a little bit more of what we're working with here. There's no rev indication on here. They like we see on the screen, there's a DDU within the cars, so that functionality is not on the wheel itself. We can see here, this is what I was talking about earlier. When you press the pit limiter is flashing red and green, and we've got these lower buttons are all colored. When we click the flash button for flashing our headlights, we see that flashing as well. When we go into those, look, when I adjust my ABS here, we can see this changing. So when I switch it, when I decrement it, we see it goes red. When I increment it, it goes green, and there's a little animation on all of these as well. So it's not bad, but as I say, I feel like these are just wasted. For me anyway, I just don't use them. It would be nice if we could, in a lot of our sims, we just can't map directly to traction control, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I get what they've done. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't really make sense for sim racers. The 7-way hats are decent. They could do with being maybe a little bit more raised, so that they're easier to get at, especially with gloves. I found, I don't know, they were just a little bit recessed in there. They're a little bit small. The feel of everything though is extremely good. So it's a love. The shifter paddles are huge. The clutch paddles are nice as well. I did find though with the clutch paddles that the adjustment is extremely difficult. I'll show you here because I've done it a few times. We need to hold this configuration button, then stuff happens, and we've got these buttons here which adjust the bite point. So to give you an indication, I've put the indicators just here. So when we pull one, you can see the blue bar lighting up. When we pull the other, we can see the blue bar lighting up. So the idea is you pull both of them, you let one go, and then you go with the other. Or you go like this, you let this one go and let the rest go. So it allows you to do clutch paddles with either side, in iRacing at least. That when you can just use one if you want. So this goes to 100%, but as soon as you press the other, it's not at 100%. That's to allow, some people do just prefer to have one clutch paddle. So I quite like that. But here's the incrementing and decrementing. So if I want to increment it, I need to press this button. Each click is 1% apparently, but 3 clicks adds to 5%. So I'm guessing that each click is slightly more than 1%. But you can see that blue bar moving up and down ever so slightly. So look, once you know it, it's there and it works, then you have to press and hold. It does take 5 seconds. So if you're on the start line, it's a little bit difficult to do. This wheel could really do with some thumb rotaries, in my opinion. It would really just give you that extra, and I wish these could be switched to encoders rather than switches. They're kind of my biggest gripes with it. That's kind of the driving experience. I know I haven't driven it in anger here, but trust me, I've done plenty of driving with both my community and on streams with this to form my opinion. Let's go into the summary. So quite a bit to unpack. I think to an extent I have a buyer's remorse type of feeling, which is very strange because this is sent to me on loan. But I try to put myself in the position of someone who's spending €1,700, and I am missing something that a lot of you watching might have, and that is a passion for Ford Mustangs. I respect them. I think they're amazing. I have no desire to ever own one. And I don't think there's anything necessarily too special about them. Maybe my opinions of this are closely linked to that. I don't know. Let's focus on the purely objective things. The build quality is phenomenal. The lighting is nice in dark situations. When you're in a brighter room, even at 100% brightness, it's not great. And it looks a bit old. The lighting looks a bit old. The steering wheel itself looks lovely and modern. There's beautiful, curves and everything to it. It's quite possibly the best made steering wheel I've ever seen. The carbon fiber is just second to none. How it's woven, how it's molded, I don't know what they've done, but no other sim manufacturer has managed to get this finish, in my opinion. So that's a big thing. The grips are really nice. As I say, I don't know if it's coincidence. I would guess it's coincidence. I had some extremely good races while using the steering wheel. I was super consistent and I finished higher than I usually would. Now, I am not for a second saying that it's because of this steering wheel, but I am just putting it out there that I had some phenomenal races and was very comfortable in the car with this. So I don't know psychologically if it just felt right. I don't know. I can't answer that question, but I just said I'd put it out there. I think that the licensing with the Ford thing adds to the price quite a lot. If this was a €1,000, €1,100 steering wheel, it would make it a lot more reasonable, in my opinion. I feel like the extra money for the licensing is just not something that I'd pay for. Again, I don't want to be negative here, but this is just not a product that I would necessarily buy. If somebody who loves Mustangs and Fords, or if someone is just looking for a good generic GT3 wheel, this would be up there if I could change these rotary encoders to just doing encoding. I need to show you as well just the instructions that you get with it. Again, there is no software, so it just, I don't know. Here we go. This shows about the clutch biting point. Then the other side of that is a lot of instruction here. And I just feel that for €1,700, this is a bit, I don't know. Like, I feel like I should be able to do this within SimHub or even in a standalone application. It just doesn't, I don't know, it's very, you really need to study. It's not an intuitive wheel. And even when you get it all working, you get relatively limited functionality, in my opinion, compared to many others. So that was probably my biggest gripe. That's probably why from the very start my heart wasn't in it from a product point of view. I think the only people who are going to buy this are people who race almost exclusively GT3 Mustang, or people who have a Mustang parked in their driveway. It is a very niche product. It is beyond impeccably made. It is super, super quality. I'd love some of those little refinements to be done, and for a wheel with similar shape, similar build quality, with some rotary encoders, thumb encoders, maybe slightly higher 7-way hats, because they, especially with gloves, they're a little bit difficult to grab. And although I like this functionality on the middle of the wheel, changing the rotary or the 7-way hat left and right movements, or the encoder movements, is nowhere near as useful as changing the movements of these. So I wish we could just change those. So in short, The VPG GT3 Mustang wheel is absolutely impeccably made. It's beautiful, but it's not for me. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. UK and Irish time. You'll find me using this type of hardware and many, many more. Please do join me and ask any questions that you have, either there or in the comments below. Good luck, I'm Lawrence, I'll chat to you later.